You know, no matter where I go, somehow conflict happens. Maybe it's me. Well, what it is I kind of call out the bullshit when I see it. Maybe that's me there. Bumped into this thing called the Ancient Egyptian Temple of Anu, Shrine of Set. Now, I'm familiar with Set with the Temple of Set by Dr. Michael Aquino. Now, because it has some affiliation at one point with the, it stemmed from the Church of Satan, you figure, okay, what's Set? So, you learned about Set. There was a particular link that I really enjoyed in this interview with Aquino, with he talks about the shared consciousness. I almost painted an image in my head where if you're in an astral plane, and if you were to do a collective meditation at a particular time, those who reach a certain state, what they call kefir, people pop up in this plane and you'd be like, hey, whatever. And I kind of make light of it, but I mean, it's not unheard of in several of the other paradigms. That's why it's an interest to me. Being quite the deist, not a spiritualist, I thought it's intriguing. But when I went to this group called the Ancient Egyptian Temple of Anu, the Shrine of Set, I found it funny that it was a pagan group, more or less. I've seen this with witchcraft too. They'll use a lot of Egyptian deities, resurging them into a paradigm of witchcraft. And this group, from what I'm reading, I didn't know this because I posted the same link up on this group, and they're like, "No Satan here." No, it said Set. That's the funny part. When you're dealing with people who are stupid, they open their mouths without any further backing or intelligence. So if you post up something like Rainbow Bright, and someone screams out, "No Satan here!" Where's Satan? Nice Rainbow Bright. You know what I'm saying? So here I am on a Set group talking about Set, but in a left-hand path perspective, I guess. And bammo. Now, I decided to go and backtrack and learn a little bit about the people who run this little site. One person goes by the name of Priestess Sandra. Now, mind you, remember I talked about anonymous names? Priestess Sandra is probably, a 500-pound man, child molester for all you know, and but claims to be a female, and the religious viewpoint is Earth and the universe. There you have it there. But with Priestess Sandra, I find it funny because even though she's anti-Satan, she's friends with about half of my friends who are Satanists, which makes me wonder, why is she jumping on my shit about Satan when she's friends with half of my friends who are Satanists. I mean, it's kind of self-evident with the big pentagrams, fire, and all that kind of shit. The other person who wasn't involved was also the administrator, is Robert Allen, whose religious views are old-time pagan. So it kind of gives me a wonder, are they really doing a historical viewpoint of the ancient Egyptian Temple of Anu, the Shrine to Set? Are they doing it? I can't say the word perversion, because even if you look at Michael Aquino's Temple of Set, it's their rendition of Set, and these people are doing their own rendition of Set, which are polar ideologies, which makes it kind of interesting, because if you're doing a form of deity, it makes me wonder, what exactly are they doing? I mean, I'm not saying they're wrong, but I'm just trying to figure out, like right now, after I posted that, now they're making up new rules, they're trying to shield and shelter people. I mean, they even called me out, "Ronald French, you have the wrong group, no Satan here." Again, if you post up something about Set, it's about Set. Set's deity. And the level of ignorance that bumped into this group is phenomenal. Of course, they're telling me, "Oh, well, read about us." And who has time to read? I'm going to click it here too. Who's got time to read a group About Us section that is about, oh, I don't know. Hold on. Okay, I got time to read it. Not a whole lot, but I do. You know, our mission, bringing back the gods and goddess in a positive, truthful light. I have a book of dead. Set was a mean motherfucker. I don't know how they call, you know, that bullshit. So I think it's a fluff bunny group for Set. You know, we'll put Set in a pink tutu and call it a nice god. Now, last I remember, he chopped off the genitals and body parts of Horus and threw him down the fucking Nile River. But I'm just going by memory. The Book of the Dead's a very thick book. I don't want to be digging it up right now. But this is the thing, you deal with this, you know, what do you call it? You know, posting regarding mythology, stories. Please do not post some information on a story. Give a reason why you are posting. You know, I get it, but I sent a PM or a personal message to this lady, Priestess Sandra, or whoever this person really is. And the funny part is, she never wrote back. She strictly went public in her tirade of what Set is, which is perfectly fine for her. But, you know, there's many aspects out there. So, anyway, she kind of reposted the rules or whatever it is. I mean, she's like reinforcing everything. So I got an impression that it's a fluff bunny pagan group trying to make light out of darkness when Set was the king of the underworld. I mean, I have some knowledge about it in a historical account. So when you see a religion or a pagan or a white witch group type of thing trying to make Set look like, you know, something when it's not, it makes me wonder what's their angle. You know, and like I said, it's hard to use the word perversion if you compare it to like even with the Temple of Set, because the Temple of Set was their version of Set as well. You know, but if you look at the historical accounts, read the Book of the Dead. Set was not a nice, you know, deity. But that was just one account that stuck in my head because, you know, he killed his own brother and chopped him up in pieces and threw him in a Nile. Yeah, that's pretty much fucking it, you know. You leave an impression when you do something like that. So when you have people out there trying to say they're trying to enlighten or bring the, you know, positive, you know, oh yeah, and I'll quote the mission. I'll quote the mission statement. Hold on a second. I don't want any more beeping. I got active recently and people are responding to my stuff. Bringing back the gods and goddesses in a positive, truthful light through history, literature, symbolism, and modern practice. But yet they forget the word Satan came from Hebrew of Satan. Yeah, so maybe my knowledge is different than their knowledge. Maybe I read a book or two more or less. But I do find it funny how you know, I'm not being ostracized yet. They didn't kick me out yet. But it kind of gives me an entitled or entitlement to this video, and that is, which Set is Set. Because if you're talking about the god Set, whether you're talking left-hand path or right-hand path, it's still going to be Set. It's like talking about me. You piss me off, you're going to see a big fucking dark side of my ass. And then if you see me in a very happy and altruistic manner, you would see me as a saint. But you're still going to talk about me, the whole me. So maybe this dichotomy of Set is something that could be advantageous. I said, I'm always there to learn different things. So this was an eye-opener for what it is exactly what's out there. But it reminds me of the 1987 documentary film called The Occult Experience, where they talk about witchcraft, and there was actually a group that worshipped Isis, and they dress up in ceremonial Egyptian garments, and they do their dogma of sorts, and they praise Isis, but they call it witchcraft. Understandable, but with the symbology and stuff, I mean, it's just another form of dogma. But when you have a group out there talking about Set, you know, and Set wasn't like, you know, hugging trees and dancing with butterflies. So I'm more interested as to what their perspective is. And like I said, you know, I'm right at the borderline of saying perversion for that god, because Set was not quite a nice character. Not because he was a ruler of the underworld, it's just that he fucked up a lot of fucking gods in this day. Again, read the Book of the Dead. So, anyways, it's an eye-opener. I mean, I admit, but like I said, I think it was a pussy move of this priestess Sandra not to actually, you know, write back. Not that I'm butthurt over it, but to give myself the quote to the public what I wrote. I said, not debating ideology here. How is one set different from the other set? And next thing you know, the group is being bombarded by tons of rules of, you know, how to post, what not to post, and like you're being isolated from the dark side of Set, which is a very fluff bunny thing to do if you think about it. So this is actually not going to be posted in my Satanic channel. This is not going to be posted on my Left Hand Path channel. This is going to be on my Rev.Ronald French channel, because this is a good perspective. This is something where, you know, how can something like this happen? It's not too hard. Look at World War II, the swastika. People, if I post up a swastika now, the way I look, they think I'm an Aryan. But that swastika has been historically one of the best positive signs around. Hitler thought so too, and he used it, but he perverted it by his actions. So now the swastika in many different countries is considered a hateful symbol, and you can't display it publicly without any form of ridicule, or even being arrested for hate crime. But yet, historically speaking, Native America, Persia, India, Egypt, everywhere. I'm thinking Egypt, I'm not too sure. But the swastika symbol is a renowned worldwide symbol for life. So when you see that, you can understand perversion of a symbol. Seeing something that are loosely labeled as a perversion of a deity, I do find it funny, you know. And like I said, I'm here to learn about their perspective now, because I got such a pie-in-the-face attitude from another person named Aleister Crowley Arisen. Yeah, his Facebook's supposed to be a real name, right? So, okay, hi Ronald, I found my path and I want to do, okay, I'm no longer searching, I'm not interested in seeing anything about Set as being the devil or satanic in this group. I'm just not interested in it. Please read about the section and understand this group's about. Yeah. So what they're doing is, instead of seeing Set entirely for what it really is, and the irony is, you know, you got people out there who are very theistic on this particular god, and they talk in the same manner, very theistic. Set is back in such a big way, it'll cause a change. Don't ask me what. It's all the information he gave me. So they're very theistic. They're talking to their deity, Set. You know, another person chimes in, I have been sensing that as well. I look forward to it. Priestess Andrew chimes in, interesting, I'm picking up on that too. You know, Freud would just love this group. I have the words in my book of chaos. He spoke to me, and that's why I'm here. It was an inevitability. Okay, so theists, you know, being a earthly religion people or pagan group, are now theistic all of a sudden, for whatever reason. It's kind of like everyone wants to chime into a fucking, you know, hop on a bandwagon and talk to a deity, but if you ever look at the religious views, you know, they're either polytheist or they're nothing to do with the Egyptian deity at all. You know, like I said, it's a contradiction. So for me, it's kind of like, alright, you know, what is this, a bunch of foolhardy people playing Dungeons and Dragons? Why do I say that? You have a guy calling himself Aleister Crowley Arisen. You have Lechland Stutz, Priestess Sandra, Isaiah Rice. Now some might be a real name, and I know 2 of them aren't. There you have it. So again, you have people out there, it doesn't matter if you're a left-hand path or a right-hand path or whatever path you fucking choose. There are people out there that are missing a fucking cleric in a Dungeons and Dragons game somewhere, because this is a land of imagination. So the more posts I'm starting to read about, you know, it's funny. Like Priestess, okay, here's one. Anyone here have a question about Set? I've noticed there's a lot of smart people here. Pick their brains. You know, it's interesting, but I'm not interested in them. To me, they're trying to rewrite history. They're trying to do things that are not accurate. Like I said, I read the Book of the Dead many years ago. You know, Set had a job just like I think Hela or Hecate had in the underworld. You know, it was basically the inventory of the souls. So, and it wasn't dark or evil. It was just a job. It was what their duties were. And but I do find it funny that even though they're acting out theistic, their own paradigm or disclosure with their own paradigm contradicts or doesn't parallel to what they're doing. So I gotta move on. Like I said, I was interested, but the more I'm looking into this group, the more I'm realizing, you know, it's a bozo button I just don't need to collect. But food for thought for you guys. If you ever want to know about Set, words of caution about the ancient Egyptian temple of Anu, shrine to Set, because I read books on Set and it had nothing to do with what they're trying to push. You know, what if I went off and made here's one. What if I went off and made a Dianic Wicca group and actually made that historically correct? That'd be the most female warrior pagan group ever. And that would be historically correct, since Diana witchcraft was named after a Celtic group of people attacking Rome. And they were the ones, the Romans, who named that group Dianic. And that's where its history came from. So if I did something historically correct like that, you know, it wouldn't matter if that lady from Bucharest would argue with me or not. It's not about hugging trees and dancing with butterflies. It's about killing their fucking enemy. You know what I'm saying? So I guess it's all about how you want to manifest your deity. I mean, they're doing it their way. It just does not make sense to me how to change history. You know, but that's just my perspective. So, but again, to each their own. Whatever empowers you, powers you. But when you see a collective share a common psychosis, time to move on. I'm not saying Aquino is 100% correct of what he's doing with Set with a left-hand path angle. However, you know, I try to keep an open mind to other groups, but when you have someone who historically is a prick sore to a degree, I can see the left-hand path perspective of it, because, you know, but I never seen anything positive per se came out of Set. You didn't hear him talk about healing people. He had a job to do with gathering up the souls in the underworld and that kind of stuff. And back then it wasn't considered an evil deity. Like I said, even Greece and all the other ancient religions, it was just another job because it was a polytheistic society. So with a left-hand path perspective, I understand it, not because I'm just left-hand path, but to me it makes sense. But things don't make sense is when, again, you dress up in a pink tutu and you try to make it, perform a nice dance for front of people. It doesn't make that character or deity any less of what it is, or even greater than what it is. It is what it is. Kind of like demonology. You can't sit there and say Beelzebub is going to now not be the Lord of Flies. We're going to make Beelzebub, the Lord of Lizards or something. It's destined to be what it is. And I do find it where I'm at the impasse with that group. But I figure share that with you and rant a little bit about it. I left the group voluntarily. When you hang around with that level of stupid, you're afraid to turn into a retard yourself. So, anyways, I figure I'd share that with you. I think this video will be called Which Set is Set, because you'll come across this with other groups. I'll do a universal posting in all 600 groups I belong to on Facebook. I've even been accused of being a spammer. And but I'll ask a question or promote something, and I'll be with one pagan group with their pats in the back, attaboy, and then you'll have another reaction with like, you're spamming or you're doing this or whatever. But the problem is, they're so labeled pagans, or one group you think would trash you out or accept you, and the other ones you think are going to accept, not accept you per se, like handshakes and hugs, but give like a positive reading of what you're saying. And then all of a sudden you get the ones you're kind of expecting a positive, and then they put a pie in your face. That happens a lot. So for me, it's the social discourse is interesting. I take notes because it's controlled chaos. You really can't anticipate a reaction from a group unless it somehow coincides with their psyche. So that group had their own form of psyche, and it wasn't mine. So anyways, but I'm sure you've come across it yourself. I figured I'd just do an FYI. Interesting, but not interested. Anyways, take care and bye for now.